Giles Bryant here on KindaSound Radio, and today my topic is healthy living events, and I have a very special guest in the KindaSound studio today. It's Colin Wyatt. How are you, Colin?
Hey Giles, lovely to see you. I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm brilliant, mate. I'm really good. Thanks for
Yeah.
asking. And we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about healthy living events in a broad sense, but specifically, we're also here to talk about an event that's happening on Sunday, the 6th of November, in Clare, in the heart of East Anglia, here in the United Kingdom. And Colin, you are going to be doing an opening 432 hertz crystal sound bowl blessing meditation journey for people coming. What a way to start. So, Colin, just first of all, how did you find the crystal singing bowls? How did you come across them?
Well, it is a really simple story, but I love sharing it because this is how we understand synchronicities in life, right? And part of our life purpose and how we find these paths. And I was in a crystal shop once, and I was with a friend of mine, and I was just kind of getting into all this, trying to understand like crystals, and this woman knew a lot about crystals. So right at the very back of this crystal shop where everything was covered in crystals and all the rest of it, I saw this little tiny brass Tibetan singing bowl, which I know now to be a Tibetan singing bowl. But I looked at it and I was like, what is that? And it was almost like my feet elevated and I was glided towards it, towards the back of the room. And I held it in my hand. I said, what is this? And she said, oh, it's a singing bowl. I was like, I love it. And she said, "Yeah, watch. I'll show you what it does." So she tried to get it to ring, and it didn't work for her. It wouldn't ring, and I was like, "Okay." And so I said, "Well, let me have a try," and it rang straight away. I'd never played one in my life, and it just
Yeah.
rang straight away. And I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." I said, "Where do you think this is getting you?" Because I was just learning chakras and stuff like that, and I was like, "Where do you think this is getting you?" She said, "Definitely the throat. It's definitely the throat chakra." I said, "But I feel like it's in my third eye. I feel like it's in my third eye." And she said, "No, definitely the throat chakra." So we went to speak to the lady at the till, and she said, "Oh, that's the third eye." And I was like, "Man," and that was it. I thought I need to know more about singing bowls. I just didn't know why, but there was such an attraction there. And then I discovered more about them, and then discovered these amazing things called crystal singing bowls, where I just knew I needed to get a set, and then I started looking into the best sets to get, and that's when I discovered the 432 hertz thing.
That's absolutely beautiful. And the regular listeners to the show will know our love for 432 music.
Mm.
And most of the music we record, not all, but most of the music we record is in 432. We love to play live in 432. And Colin, I'm excited to hear that you've got the set, and I did experience it the other day with Shannon, with the Soulful Socials, who I know you've been
Mm.
working with, and we have as well with our All You Need superfood mix.
Isn't she
And
amazing?
so one of the things she's going to come on in a couple of weeks. So she's gonna
Mm.
come on the show in a couple of weeks. But what she's doing is bringing the soul energy, the higher
Mm.
energy of helping people bring that out into the world.
Mm.
So in
And she does a
terms of
good
the
job, doesn't she?
yeah, exactly,
Does an
because
amazing job.
because
Mm.
we've all got different skills, and I
Hmm.
was um emailing a friend recently who's an artist, and she's a great artist and cares for the earth. And she said, I'm not a businesswoman yet." Yeah, but you're an artist. You're not meant, So we've got to team up, right? And what I'm excited about, Colin, is teaming up with a fantastic collection of speakers that we've got who are going to be with us on the Sunday
Yeah.
to put on this event, And one of the
Mm.
things that I find, I mean, I'm going to do a little intro. One of the things that
Mhm.
I find is if you start with a blessing and a prayer, and you finish with a prayer. And when if you have something early, because people arrive, and we're probably going to have people coming from, I don't know, maybe even all over the country for this event. But when people arrive, what I've found, Colin, at some of the events I've done recently, when you have a sound blessing
Mm,
early doors, it just sets it up. It sets people up. Can you explain a little bit about, you know, how does it work? I mean, obviously
mm,
that's a deep that's a deep question for you there, but you know,
mm,
just to the
mm.
lay person, if someone's just to say, okay, you know, I'm interested, but what? How does a crystal sound bowl work? How is that going to help heal me?
Yeah, yeah. So, like you said, it's a very deep subject, but I'll give you a crash course in my understanding to it, my
Yeah,
interpretation of it. Okay,
let's give the
and
kind of sounders a crash course.
yes, yes, a crash course in sound. Well, in what sound really is, right? And so, if we take one person from history who was an amazing inventor, his name was Nikola Tesla. And he said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. When we start to actually unpack that and what he actually really means, is ultimately everything that we see, that we touch, that we experience is a level of frequency, vibration, or energy, right? It's one of those three things. I think they're intertwined, energy and frequency and vibration. I think they're intertwined, but something just pulls me more towards the frequency part of what this universe really is, right? Light being a wave, but it's from a, light is also created by frequency. There's a frequency measure to it. So when we start looking at it, everything's emitting a frequency of some kind, and we start looking at nature on this planet, and nature on this planet is the frequency of 432 hertz. So 432 hertz is when you take it down to an electron microscope, you can see the molecules banging together, and that frequency that it emits is about 432 hertz. So because my singing bowls are tuned into the frequency of 432 hertz, that doesn't mean every bowl is 432. It means the root note. So the where you start from your key, that's what it's from. And then the frequencies vary
Yeah,
from that, but they
it's like a
are tuned in to that
exactly. It's
frequency.
like a scale, isn't it? It's like a harmonic scale that they are
Exactly.
part of that
Yeah.
frequency,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
harmonic.
Yeah. And so let's just take the space in the room when we create the sound bath in the beginning, that like you said, it sets the energy, it just sets the
Mm,
theme, and like the vibration or the vibe, if you like, yeah, of that place. And the reason why is because sound is interacting with everything all the time. Just because we can't hear it doesn't mean it's not interacting with sound. Our planets make these beautiful resonances, these beautiful sounds. We've actually recorded the sound of planets now, and they sound amazing. Saturn's really weird, but like Earth sounds beautiful.
yeah.
It always reminds me of being in a forest, a rainforest with just wild animals. It's something really beautiful. So we know everything's emitting sound.
Mm,
And so when the bowls are emitting that 432 hertz, we know that it actually creates a vortex of energy. People will hear the sound vibrating around in a circle, but actually, it's not because it's bouncing off of walls. I've done this in wooded areas, I've done it in fields,
right,
and it's the same experience.
right.
So, what happens is it creates this vortex of energy that whirls around, and that vortex of energy stretches up to a kilometer in every single direction. And
That's
because we
pretty.
live in
That's
an ocean of,
pretty. Hold on a minute. That's pretty cosmic.
yeah,
Hold on a minute. Hold
it
on a
is,
minute.
isn't
You hit the
it?
bowls.
Rewind.
We just yeah. You hit the bowls.
Yeah.
It creates a
Mm-hmm.
vortex of energy. A vortex of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And how can that vortex of energy be measured?
I don't have the equipment to measure it, but I know the equipment's out there to be
Yeah.
measured by scientists and other people that measure
People
it.
can
And
measure these frequencies, but people can also feel it, can't they?
yeah, I
And
have
hear it.
actually yeah, but in an indirect way, I have actually measured it, and I'll tell you, I'll share that with you in a second. But what it does, because we live in a an ocean of motion, yeah, like we live in a wave. That's what we live in. So this stuff ripples outwards. This is why it ripples out. And my evidence to that is I used to play in Chelmsford opposite the train station. It was in a place called the Transition. That's what it was named as at the time.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's changed
remember.
now.
Yeah, I remember the
And this has
place.
Yep.
Lovely
Yep. So it
place.
has
Yeah.
beautiful glass, glass, not glass walls, but glass,
Yeah.
surround, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought that'd be an amazing place to play the bowls. However, the only night that was available was a Friday night, and it was right next to a pub.
No.
And I thought, what have I done? Right? Everyone's out having fun and everything else.
Wow. Friday night,
But
Crystal Bowl
something
in the
really,
middle of Chelmsford.
right, on a fortnightly basis. Yep. Right where it was right next to the train station. So it was
Right
busy
by
all
the
the time.
station. Yeah, I mean it's
Something really,
quite a cool place.
it is, and it's a beautiful venue. But something really interesting happened. Every time I began to play those singing bowls, within 10 minutes of playing them, everybody went into that pub. They went in. No one was outside even smoking a cigarette or drinking or anything. They all disappeared. And about 5 to 10 minutes after I stopped playing the bowls, they all came back out again and got back almost like back to normal life. And I found that really interesting because that was every time I played those bowls. Now I think it was just dosing them up with 4-3-2, and I think they were in there buying each other pints, giving each other hugs. You know what I mean? And then when it stopped playing, they came back to the dream world.
Fascinating.
But it was interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
So
every
this
single
thought
time they
so
would
if you
disappear and come back.
so you having you're laying down and then this vortex
Mm-hmm.
of energy is carrying
Mm-hmm.
these different sounds. So it makes it sound like the sound is all around you. And it's not the reverberation of the building because in the open air, people are still hearing this. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, the
it's
truth is the truth is the sound is all around you. What
mm,
happens is when you go into that deeper state, and that's what they help you to do. They help you go into a deeper state. Your perception of sound changes
right.
to where instead of using our sensory equipment that we have, eyes, ears, right? Instead of using those sensory equipments that we have, we start using our brain in a different way. And so we pick up on sound and we hear sound very differently as to what we would if someone was playing over in the left hand corner, you go, oh, the sound's coming from there because you're using your perceptionary senses. But once you close those down and you open up to the realness of sound, it's almost like it's almost like I'm walking around you with these
Yeah.
big singing bowls, which I don't do
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
obvious reasons, but that's what it's like, and people have other experiences. So coming into the people, so this is about the space. This is what it does in the air. It changes the air. It creates a vortex of energy. And then when it comes into the people, when they start to experience it, remember, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy,
Mm,
frequency, and vibration.
mm,
Well, what do you think your body is? It's a massive energy, frequency, and vibration. Your cells, you have up to 50 trillion cells in your body. Your cells are made of molecules. We get smaller and go into atoms. We go smaller, we go into the subatomic particles. Well, those particles are light. They are frequency, which then creates the density to create what we have as the body, right? So it's just highly condensed light. That's what the body is. It's just highly condensed light coming together. So it would make sense that frequency would interact with frequencies, right? And would manipulate frequencies. And because it's in that frequency of 432 hertz, the natural resonance of nature as what we really are, we come back home. We come back into that deeper sense of ourselves. And your cells love it, and this is where people have different experiences. Some people feel themselves floating just above their body. Some people feel this immense tingling or energy going down through their body up and down. Some people have these miraculous healings. I had a lady come to me. I think she was 67. She'd been deaf in her left ear for 30 years. At the end of one session, she said to me, I can't believe it. She goes, for the first time in 30 years, I can hear out of my ear. I mean, that even shocked me. I was like, wow,
yeah.
it can do profound things. But also, I think this vortex of energy opens up that veil, if you like, yeah,
Mm.
and it gets us closer to spirit, and it gets us closer to that deeper understanding. So we go on things like journeys, or we get information given to us, or you have these experiences that you can explain, but something's very different. You experience
Mm.
something extremely different out of the realms and the parameters of what we call reality here.
Beautiful stuff, my man. I mean, if that is not a bit of a taster, to come and interact with Colin. I don't know what is.